I am going to draw, where's my red pen? Here's my red blood cells. They're all aggregated together. So water didn't go between here and here into or out of the cells, right? Hematocrit, that's red blood cells, isn't it? So they're cells. And so if water didn't go between here, it doesn't go between here either. So what happens to hematocrit? Has to go up because the volume of this didn't change, but the volume here went from here to here, so hence the hematocrit went up. Okay. Who dinged?
That was me.
Was that you? Okay. So the next one's sweating. That's kind of like you losing water. So let's losing water. Okay. So basically water went out here and water went out here and okay. So in this particular case, no change. Okay, because proportionately the water left both the ECF and the ICF the same amount. However, perhaps one mistake in this Costanzo diagram, that only applies if it's pure water. If you lose any sodium at all, then this would not hold. Okay? What's the last one?
Dr. Rowe?
Yes, sir.
For that one, you're replacing the ECF that's lost with the water from the red cells themselves?
I'm sorry, the question again?
So if you're losing from sweating, you're losing filtrate or plasma, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't you have a higher hematocrit, or are you replacing it from the red cells?
Okay. So the question, why don't we have a higher hematocrit? Okay. Remember I said that if you lose pure water, you lose it proportionally, 1/3 from here and 2/3 from here. So everything's proportional. And so you lose the water proportionately in all compartments, including the red cell compartment. Okay?
Cells kind of crenulate?
Well, they're going to shrink a little. They're going to shrink to the same extent that these shrink. Okay. Now, I'm not going to say it's not going to be a disaster. I mean, they're not going to be in real trouble unless it's a real severe dehydration. But everything's proportional, so the hematocrit's unchanged. And I think that's kind of a difficult question if the STEP exam wants to set questions like that, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's demanding. I think that's demanding for all of us. Okay. So what's the last one? What haven't we done? So we've still got our red blood cell. Ooh. So what do they call it? Adrenal insufficiency? Yeah, okay. So in adrenal insufficiency, it's like sodium goes out here, and the water wants to go back into cells, right? But it also wants to go back into this cell. So if the plasma volume's gone down and the red cell volume's gone up, then the hematocrit has to go up also, yes? Let me just complete this. Okay, so water moved over to here, expanding here, but it also moved into these other red cells, and so if the total volume shrank here and the volume went up here, the hematocrit has to go up. Okay. So I just wanted to go through that because I think it's a little demanding. I do have a note in my handout, the error. It says page 245. In the new edition, it's actually page 252. So that table comes from page 252. Okay. So a bit of a challenge. You guys actually look better this afternoon than you did this morning. And I don't understand that. That's what it was. Okay. We were all sluggish this morning. I don't know whether it was you guys or me. Maybe it was me. Okay. Any questions before we pack up? Yes, sir.
You mentioned the hematocrit going up. Is that a function of the volume of the cells increasing?
Okay, the question is, what is hematocrit a function of? Hematocrit is, yeah, and maybe I should have explained this. Hematocrit is basically the volume of red blood cells as a fraction of what's in plasma. Gosh, that sounds convoluted. It's correct, but is there a better way of putting that?
Say number of red blood cells?
No, not number, the volume. Okay, so when you take a blood sample and you spin it down, you have a hematocrit of maybe 45%, which means 45%. Excuse me, getting dry. 45% of the volume is actually red blood cells, and the other 55% is mostly plasma. There's a few white cells too, but so the hematocrit essentially is a measure of the volume of red blood cells, and of course the main thing that contributes to volume of red blood cells is the water that's inside them.
How much space it takes up?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, complaints? Yeah.
I was curious with the adrenal insufficiency, so you're going to secrete more sodium from your kidneys, right?
Secrete, let's say lose. I like the word lose better.
So the water won't follow that sodium, it'll go into your intrasodium?
Okay, so the question is, so doesn't water follow the sodium? And yes, it does. But in adrenal insufficiency, the primary defect is loss of sodium, but the water's following it. But the sodium's leading.
So
Okay.
there's more sodium losing.
So there's more sodium relative to water. And in the other situation, what was the other situation we used? Well, we lost more water than sodium, whatever it was. Okay. Another question? Yeah, go ahead.
So for the study questions, do we have like the answers to check ourselves?
Oh, study questions. So, yeah, I tried to explain this morning, but maybe I was kind of dull too. I should have been catching up on my sleep, shouldn't I? Yeah. Okay. So there are study questions down here. These are from Mr. Good, and it's workshop related. I was not planning to go through these. The answers are on D2L, and I think it's entitled. It's a file Mr. Good answers, okay? The questions after today are fairly busy. I think it'll take you a bit of time. And I think the questions after Wednesday are fairly busy. It'll take you some time. The rest of the days are a good bit lighter. But, oh gosh. Do you get irritated when professors are patronizing and tell you how to study? You do, don't you?